Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everyone. Today, our group will be presenting about halal logistic industry in Malaysia, cover the industrial development, certification and regulatory framework. These are our group members consisting of 6 members which are Nabil Irfan bin Yuslan, Nur Syakinah binti Mansur, Nurul Nabiha binti Muhammad Yusri, Ahmad Hasanain bin Abdul Haris, Siti Zakira Imana binti Abdul Rahman and Nurbat Rushahuda binti Jamil. This presentation will be started with the introduction, followed by literature review, industrial development, certification, regulatory framework, and ended by conclusion.
For the introduction, as we know, the halal logistic industry is included as one of the halal services, as there are two scopes that exist under halal industry, which are halal product goods and halal services. Halal logistic is considered as an essential scheme within the halal market, as it serves to protect, to avoid and minimize the risk of cross-contamination, which may result in a doubtful or shubha situation that can trigger the halal status of the involved products. Halal logistics is an activity that covering the full transportation and processing of halal goods or services from the point of origin to the point of consumption. All halal elements are practiced and implemented through the halal logistics system, from the source of raw material flow into manufacturing to the distribution of finished goods to end users. Next, when it comes to halal logistics, LSP or logistics service providers are faced with the situation that each customer has a specific set of halal product or service specifications. As a result, halal logistics is moving toward customer experience, with companies providing value-added services, one-of-a-kind or specialized activities for specific customers.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Hasanain bin Abdul Haris and I will cover the literature review part. In the first article, Halal Development System, the Institutional Framework, Issue and Challenge for Halal Logistics, mentioned that there are 4 major bodies in Malaysia that regulate halal certification, monitoring and enforcement. The 4 bodies are JAKIM, Department of Standard Malaysia, the State Islamic Department, and the Ministry of Domestic Trade, Cooperative and Consumerism, KPDN HEP. For the second article, establishing the principle of halal logistics, said there are 5 halal logistic principles. Firstly, build a global halal logistics system that complies with Sharia and establish the best practice for maintaining halal integrity across the supply chain. Secondly, reduce the halal logistics struggle in order to become equitable and realistic. Thirdly, determine the difference between halal and haram contamination and ways to prevent it. Next, to establish a whole halal value chain and supply chain evolution. And lastly, to compare to existing halal standard, best practice and international standard. Moreover, in the article Halal Logistic Legal Framework Malaysia Perspective, stated that implementation of halal logistic regulatory structure conceptual framework is another alternative in developing the halal industry that has existed. Furthermore, in the article Halal Logistic, the role of part, issues and challenge informed in the paper that halal supply chain cover all the process from the acquisition and preparing of authentic halal ingredient to the processing and shipping of the finished product to consumer shelf. This involves separating halal ingredient or finished good from non-halal products such as alcohol, pork-related ingredient across the entire halal supply chain. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nabil Irfan bin Yuslan and I will clearly explain and covers a literature review part 2. Okay, in the article Halal Logistic Legal Framework National Perspective, this article covers and clearly explains that implementing halal logistic regulatory such as conceptual framework is another alternative that has existed, and also it is a critical discovery for the implementing of civil laws in halal logistics cases because it will ensure optimal regulation enforcement. This research is very important to the halal logistics industry because it can create opportunity to expand the current legal process on halal logistics by considering other sources of law available in Malaysia besides the current criminal law under Trade Legislation Act 2011 and known as TDA 2011. Okay, next in the article issues challenges and strengths of the halal logistics in Malaysia. This article reviews the halal logistics implementation in Malaysia. The challenges in the halal logistics are discussed in the 5 critical issues. These 5 critical issues are firstly, engineering issues. Secondly, integration issues among logistics service providers. Thirdly, integration issues between halal authorities and logistics service providers. Fourthly, financial issues and perception of implementing halal logistics. And finally, fifthly, is issues pertaining to government support and promotion. Moreover, in the article Halal Logistics in Malaysia, a SWOT analysis, the aim of the SWOT that defines strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats is a study on the halal logistics industry in Malaysia is to identify the SWOT in the halal logistics environment and uncover strategies for leveraging strengths and opportunities while creating weaknesses and overcoming the threats. And lastly, in the article, can halal certification influence logistic performance? This article established the relationship between halal certification and logistic performance by developing a theoretical model and suggests areas for future research understanding. This article also develops a conceptual model that offers numerous propositions that link halal certification and firms' logistic performance. Literature also representing the concept of halal logistics, institutional support, and logistic performance are synthesis to develop a framework. And lastly, this article has shown that government support can be a moderator of halal certification logistic performance relationships and an independent variable that influence logistic performance. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next, for the industrial development of halal logistics, as we know, the awareness of halal logistics has expanded as the halal industry and market have grown rapidly. Recently, both Muslim and non-Muslim customers around the world have begun to favor halal goods and services. However, only just few halal logistics service providers or LSP conduct halal business as a profit motive. As a Muslim nation, Malaysia should place a premium on halal logistic expertise in order to ensure halal integration. As a result, logistics is seen as one of the most likely supply chain parts to have a constant danger to halal integrity. In order to ensure that the specifications are met and the logistics are committed to the shipping of halal products, the vessel of transport should be ritually clean and shipments properly separated. There are 6 dimensions of halal integrity risk were identified and established, includes productions, raw materials, food safety, procurement activities, operation, and distribution are all included. So we should understanding the framework of halal integrity competency is the secret to establishing halal logistic leadership. Besides that, halal logistics aims to maintain halal integrity in the sense of suppliers, production, processing, and customers. To ensure and maintain halal integrity level of competence, the entire halal logistics system ought to be halal compliance. Halal logistics, halal supply chain, halal industrial park, halal marketing, and halal ports and shipping are all part of the halal integrity.
According to the MPPHM 2020, there are 8 specific requirements for halal certification for logistic schemes, and today I would like to discuss only 4 of them. Okay, number 1, the company and or the applicant shall consist of transportation, warehousing, and retail logistics only, including the integrated logistics services and cold chain facilities. Number 2, the companies and or the applicants who store dutiable goods must have the relevant warehousing license from the Royal Malaysian Customs Department. And number 3, the transportation of bulk container, bulk liquid, and general transportation of commercial vehicles must be registered under the Road Transport Department of Malaysia and obtain a permit to transport goods from the agency and the Ministry of Transport Malaysia. And the last one, freight forwarding companies or custom agent and shipping agent shall obtain the license from the Royal Malaysian Customs Department if applicable. There are 2 halal standards related to logistics in Malaysia, which are MS 1900 2014 and MS 2400 2019. Okay, for MS 1900 2014, it is an extension of the ISO 9001 quality management system developed by the Department Standards Malaysia (DSM) and is certified by the Standards and Industrial Research Institute of Malaysia, not certified by JAKIM. Okay, and then it focused more on the organization itself and not in its process. Meanwhile, MS 2400 2019, it covers 3 modules, which are transportation, warehouse, and retail, and it is developed by Department of Standard Malaysia (DSM) as same as MS 1900 2014, and it is certified by JAKIM, and it is focused both on the process standard and the organization itself. Next, we move to the certification fee for logistics scheme. As we can see from the slide, there are 4 categories of industry, which are micro, small, medium, and multinational. And the annual fee rate for each category is different according to the size of the company. And the annual fee rate is decided and looked by the features of the industry.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Batrisha Huda binti Jamil, and I would like to talk about issues and challenges of halal logistics on halal certification system. The first issue is lack of enforcement. Among the major findings are lack of enforcement by JAKIM, lack of assistance by related agency, and lack of collaboration among the halal certification authorities and slow process of certification. In Malaysia, halal certification is only under the jurisdiction of JAKIM. The collaboration between JAKIM, HDC, and logistics service provider is insufficient, which has possibly led to the occurrence of other challenges such as unused halal guideline, standards that are not cost effective, and lack of demand. The transportation process is a challenging procedure in maintaining halal logistic integrity. Logistic companies that practice halal transportation can rest assured that all products within their custody are handled according to the Sharia practice. However, due to lack of collaboration effort between logistic party, the chance of breakage contamination are greater if the other parties are not practicing halal logistic. So, a collaboration effort between logistics service provider and local or foreign halal authority is highly encouraged toward providing a wholesome halal market. The next issue is packaging. Packaging play an important role in logistic activity, which is to ensure the goods are protected from any cross-contamination between halal and non-halal goods during the logistic activities. There are a few challenges with the halal packaging. First, halal certification on packaging. Second, method of halal product handling. And third, halal packaging traceability. Issue with halal packaging, which is halal certification on packaging. In terms of halal packaging, halal logo is doubted as there are report that the premise of the Muruku process is used a fake halal logo. This shows that although the product is labeled by halal, the legitimacy of halal logo is still questionable. In addition, another issue arises due to the several halal logo from different countries and certifying agency that causing consumer to be dubious of halal logo on the packaging. According to the JAKIM, there are 84 recognized halal logos from 46 countries around the world. Since there are no standardized halal logo and halal certification, consumers face the difficulties in buying import halal product. Halal logo on the packaging is important since not only it signifies that the product is halal, but also indicate that the product is safe, clean, and not harmful for consumption. Halal logo is perceived to be more trustworthy and important compared to those that are labeled with International Standard of Organization, which is ISO certification. The next issue for halal packaging is method of halal product handling. The halal status of product is not merely the ingredient, but also need to consider throughout the supply chain and logistic aspect. For instance, during transportation and storage in warehouse, segregation between halal and non-halal product must be highly practiced. Furthermore, the tools to handle packaged food product must not be mixed with the one used for non-halal product. This is done in order to avoid cross-contamination. Food packaging must not be made from non-halal substance as it is considered as najis. For example, plastic seems to be safe from non-halal substance, but the origin of the material used to produce the packaging are questionable. Last but not least, halal packaging traceability. Halal food product and ingredient alone does not guarantee the product is halal if the sources of packaging is doubted and contain non-halal substance. Therefore, tracking and tracing halal packaging either upstream or downstream in the supply chain specializing on packaging should gain more attention. The issue with the halal traceability and tracing in the context of halal packaging, which is most country concentrating on the list of company and food product that has valid certification, but none about sources of packaging. There are also no method to determine the packaging, which is unclear if the packaging originated from the country of origin or not.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Zakira Imana binti Abdul Rahman. Okay, I will proceed with the regulatory framework under criminal laws. There are a few laws that categorize under the criminal laws and it's applicable on halal logistic industry in Malaysia. First is Customs Act 1967, the second one is Animal Act 1953, the third one is Penal Code, the fourth one is Trade Description Act 2011, the fifth one is Consumer Protection Act 1999, and the last one is Sharia Criminal Enactment. Firstly, I will explain about the Customs Act 1967, the authority given to the Royal Malaysian Customs to cover the issues of the importation and the entry of halal products from outside of the country. It was given by the Customs Act 1967 and the Customs Prohibition of Imports Order 1988. So, to check the halal status for the sources of raw materials and finished or semi-finished goods issued by some countries for the purpose of importation, the international halal certification bodies must be recognized by JAKIM, and the halal logo or name of approval body only can be stamped by JAKIM on the certified products in order to control the movements of import and exports products between two countries. The second one is Animal Act 1953. It has been revised in 2006 and collaborate with Abattoirs Act 1993 and its regulations. It has entitled Ministry of Health and Department of Veterinary Service regarding halal certificate for meat imports. The requirement needed is slaughterhouse from outside of the country should be recognized for imported meat to Malaysia. And there will be 3 officers will visit the slaughterhouse from other countries. The first one is Department of Veterinary Service. They will examine the livestock situation. The second one is Ministry of Health. They will examine the safety of animal feed. And the last one is JAKIM. They will assure the procedures are according with the Islamic law. The third one is Penal Code. It is indirectly law that features to halal products. It provides the Act in Section 415 for dishonesty party who persuade others to buy and pay for the products is considered as fraud. And in Section 365, the one who wish to inflict wrongful gain or harm to someone is assumed to have committed dishonesty or fraud. And illegal act in logistic activities is cross-contamination of the products during the chain of operation that will violate the Section 365. The fourth one is Trade Description Act 2011, or it is known as TDA 2011. The objective is to improve the market standards by prohibit the misleading practice for goods and service. It also provides the law that relate to business practice, fairness, and protect the consumer's right. And in Section 2, halal service related to food or products, transportation, storage, warehouse, manufacturing, and retailing is covered under Trade Description Act 2011. And TDA 2011 also been a starting point to halal certification standard in Malaysia for the misuse and fraud of certificate. And the last one is there are 2 provisions in this act, which is Trade Description Act, certification and marking of halal, while the second one is Trade Description Definition of Halal Order 2011. Number 5 is Consumer Protection Act 1999. It saves the halal rights for all halal consumers, such as personal use and household use. In Section 8, there will be an offense for retailer or vendor that fool a buyer by mislead marking or branding on the products. They will be punished. And Consumer Claims Tribunal will hear all the cases and complaints by the consumers. And the last one, Consumer Protection Act 1999 is not meet the requirements of halal protection in the whole chain from farm to market because they only focus on the products and the consumers' right regarding the products only. And the last one is Sharia criminal enactment. It focuses on religious activities by state which monitored by head ruler, especially regarding the halal matters. But if the state doesn't have their own head ruler, they will put their responsibilities to Agong as a state ruler. And next, it made based on the Sharia Criminal Enactment Sabah 1999 and Sharia Criminal Enactment Federal Territories 1997. And the last one is legal agencies not only depends on those regulations, but they also depending on other departments such as Malaysian Quarantine and Inspection Service, MAQIS, in terms of any cases regarding halal in order to enforce and protect the aspect of halal and tayyib of the products for the whole chain of the logistics operation. Okay, last but not least, I will conclude our presentation today. So, as we can see in this slide, there are 4 things that we need to focus on in order to expand our halal logistic industry in Malaysia, thus being recognized all over the world. Okay, the first one is industrial development. We need to focus on the development of halal logistic industry, and we need to investigate the opportunity to expand the development system in Malaysia. The second one is certification. All the challenges and issues that happen should be solved properly, and we need to monitor the process and standard to eliminate the chance of fraud. The third one is regulatory framework. The criminal laws should be enforced thoroughly, and the regulations in halal logistic industry need to be improved. And the last one is manual procedures. Not many changes for halal logistic industry, especially in terms of general requirement for halal certification and annual fee between MPPHM 2040 and MPPHM 2020. So it will ease all the applicants in order to apply for halal certificate for their logistics.